Now, Franchise Association of South Africa CEO Freddy Makgato says power outages affect how they conduct their businesses. Makgato says with stage 8 load shedding anticipated, their businesses will be affected as they cannot operate for longer hours without electricity. Fred Makgato, the Franchise Association of South Africa CEO, unpacks this with us. A very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, you've spoken about the, counting the costs and what's at stake when it comes to the impact of load shedding on the franchises in South Africa. Exactly how severe is it?
Thank you for having us on Newzroom today. It is quite bad, I must say. Stage 8 really takes off and cleans up the balance sheet of businesses. We were hoping that by now we will get relief from our department, but there's nothing much coming from that side. So it's quite extreme, and we are hoping that the announcement by Eskom that there is anticipation for stage 60, we will never get to that point, because it will actually mean that our operators, our members, businesses will come to a standstill.
That in the franchise sector, most businesses are well established with the financial clout to perhaps buy into alternative power sources to keep their doors open. But that is not the case, is it?
It's not the case. Remember, some equipment requires strong power. You won't use a generator, for instance, to lift up a car. You won't use a generator to burn up a gas stove, which is massive. Some, yes, they require gas stoves, but some they don't. So it's a mixture of energy that is required. But what is important is that we need a reliable, sustainable energy supply. And if Eskom cannot do that, because remember that most businesses rely on electricity, so solar and generators are quite new, and at this time, as we see, they are not that easily affordable, coming through a history since 2020. So we are at a stage where we are trying to get small businesses to survive, but now incurring more costs to run their businesses, and to that effect at a lesser time frames within which to operate. It becomes extremely difficult.
We know that in some cases, load shedding is said to be proving to be another barrier into entering the sector. And it spells disaster, of course, for South Africa's economy. And perhaps give us a sense how perpetually higher stages of load shedding are affecting the various franchises differently, because they are all essentially at different stages when it comes to business.
Yes, you have matured businesses that we will obviously call big businesses, who can afford big generators, but still purchasing of diesel, as we have seen, that government the past few months allocated a levy to some of the manufacturers, but not throughout the value chain as we had complained about it. Some are medium-sized businesses who cannot afford generators, and some are small businesses who cannot afford solar panels. So we are undertaking a study now through one of our service providers to look at the impact of COVID-19 and also the impact of load shedding from 2020 up to date. So that study will give us a clear picture of what is really happening in the industry. And we hope from that we should be able, both with our partners and government, be able to put strategies in place as to how do we maintain the franchising industry. As we know, is one of the major economic contributors in the country. So we shouldn't let that sector go under. We shouldn't allow it. Otherwise, it will be a travesty of justice to the people of South Africa, because we will see massive unemployment rate. We are busy trying to create opportunities, and we think that we should get the necessary support that we need for these businesses to thrive and create more investment opportunities.
At the risk of businesses collapsing with the current operating environment not being conducive to doing business at the moment, as you compile this work that you're hoping will bring up some resolutions, just thinking of what's needed almost immediately, what would you say comes at the top of your mind?
Sustainable and reliable energy supply. We hear of, maybe, I don't know whether is it the intention, because this has been coming through, that businesses need a stable or an affirmation from Eskom about the real estate of energy supply. And today they give us a glimpse of what could look like. But that doesn't help the situation, because even if you may want to plan around the statement that they've issued, they don't give us concrete evidence that from stage 8 you're going to go to stage 12, and if so when, and from stage 12 you're going to go to stage 14, if so when, then that doesn't help us to plan. So they continue to keep us in the dark about the real state of energy supply in the country. So we will have hope that they will give us a clear picture, so that as businesses we are able to plan and strategize around the problem. But we are not. We are in the dark.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. Fred Makgatho, the Franchise Association of South Africa CEO, saying and talking about the impact of the power crisis on the franchise sector.